There was a big development today in the case against former Trump campaign advisor Roger Stone. Robert Mueller's team revealed that the evidence seized in that pre-dawn raid was voluminous and complex. The evidence includes multiple hard drives containing several terabytes of information and communications that span several years. The special counsel cited that evidence in a motion to delay Stone's trial, saying the FBI needs more time to review it. Stone, who was indicted last week on multiple counts of obstruction, making false statements, and witness tampering, confirmed today that the evidence against him is voluminous. Let's watch.
The special counsel's latest filing, it says the evidence against you is voluminous and complex. Does that scare you at all?
My attorneys have agreed to that. It is so voluminous and complex that a speedy trial is literally impossible.
Joining me right now is former U.S. Attorney Joyce Vance and former federal prosecutor Paul Butler. Joyce, this material, it sounds like it's a lifetime of dirty tricks all contained in the electronics there. They got it all.
A terabyte is a lot of data, Chris. You know, for comparison, audio files versus video files. It's video files that you see in Discovery when there's this much. Led Zeppelin 4 goes on for 42 minutes, and it's only something like 97 megabytes. A megabyte, there are 1 million of them in a terabyte. So prosecutors have a lot of evidence against Stone, and I'm betting that a lot of it is video or maybe some large dumps of data.
Paul, what's the decision? Who makes the decision what's in, what's out? I mean, you might find out some stuff about Post's personal life that may be interesting but has no material relevance to this question of the Mueller probe.
So the lawyers will make arguments about what's admissible and what's not, and the judge will decide. In terms of the motion today, it's to get more time because the evidence is supposedly so complicated. The main charge against Stone is false statements. I think it's an easy case for Mueller. The defense to false statements is either I told the truth or what I lied about wasn't material. But Mueller has a whole treasure trove of emails, text messages, other documents that prove that Stone lied about things that are at the heart of the Russian investigation.
Let's get to that.
Yeah, so a great lawyer, a great trial lawyer like Joyce could, just with what's in the public record, convict Roger Stone tomorrow.
Well, Joyce, it seems to me that, like in Watergate, and a lot of these seem to parallel Watergate, there's the underlying crime of dealing with the Russians and then all the subterfuge to hide it. And in the case of the charges made last week against Stone, they were lying and obstruction and tampering with witnesses and everything. We all got a pretty good picture of that. But isn't it the real goal of Mr. Mueller to prove that the Trump people were dealing with the Russians? Is that going to be in that vat of terabytes?
Well, I think Mueller's goal is to prosecute people for crimes that he uncovers. And you're absolutely right. His overarching goal, the mission Rod Rosenstein gave him, is to answer the question, was there collusion between the Trump campaign and the Russians with the goal of influencing the election? But prosecutors don't go straight to that final question. You have to go through each of the building blocks in a corruption case. It is frustrating for the public. I've been through this in cases that we did where everybody thought we should have been faster and more direct. But the reality is these are tough cases to make, and you go a step at a time.
Do you think this is going to delay the whole operation? The fact that you've got all this treasure trove of Roger Stone, who is the guy, you know, who said that John Podesta is going to have his time in the barrel. Well, now he's in the barrel, to use that crude reference. Does this mean we're going to have to wait a couple months at least to find out what the truth is? Joyce?
Absolutely. This will delay the trial. You know, you get, as a prosecutor, you get 70 days from the date of the indictment to take the defendant to trial. Now, all of the time that's involved in discovery and other pending motions will be excluded. That means that 70 days could run on for several months at least.
There's a reason that the special prosecutor always gets his man. Every person who he has jurisdiction against, who he's prosecuted, has either pled guilty or been brought to justice, been convicted in a court of law, because he prepares very carefully. And so I agree with Joyce. I think that this motion today is really about the next set of indictments, the indictment against Roger Stone for collusion, for conspiring with the Russians to deploy the hacked emails in a way that would benefit the Trump Trump campaign.
It always looked like that's what happened. Meanwhile, in an interview yesterday, Trump said he thought the way Roger Stone was arrested was very unusual, noting that when you have 29 people and you have armored vehicles, Roger's not a person that you'd have to worry about from that standpoint. And I thought it was sad to see it. Very sad. Well, in the past, Trump has had a very different take on how law enforcement should treat suspected criminals. Watch him here.
When you see these thugs being thrown into the back of a paddy wagon, you just see them thrown in, rough. I said, please don't be too nice. Like when you guys put somebody in the car and you're protecting their head, you know, the way you put their hand over. Like, don't hit their head, and they've just killed somebody, don't hit their head. I said, you can take the hand away, okay?
If that is such street corner BS.
Yeah.
You know who he's playing to there.
Yeah, and it's bad enough that the president said it, but for those law enforcement officers to sit there and laugh at it.
Well, some did. Some of them were a little bit rejecting it. It was embarrassing to have a president say, beat up the kid on the way to the court. I mean.
Yes, and so in that light, how should we think about this search, this raid of Roger Stone? So it was both legal and, I think, over the top. 29 law enforcement agents with long guns, 12 police cars, 6 a.m. Again, I think that was a bit extra. The reason I'm not shedding any crocodile tears over Roger Stone is because the police treat poor black folks like this all the time. Roger Stone, in other ways, is getting the same kind of justice that other rich white dudes get. For example, even though he's charged with witness intimidation, he didn't have to pay a penny in bail. He walked out of that courtroom on his own recognizance. If he were a black man, he would be locked up until trial.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.